Meet me at the ice cream truck. I'll buy you some ice cream. You know what I mean? The show is obscene, but I bet you gon' like these three dudes trying to get along. Craig Coleman and Matt Fulcheron. Don't forget to start the show. EA Dub, Eric Allen Window. Let's roll, try to keep up. Turn up the AC stage, heating up. Eat it up, time to devour the full charge power hour.
I remember when I first started working at the Herald as a site rep. Like I never would answer in my life would never answer numbers I didn't recognize.
Right.
So like the first couple of days, people were like, "Why don't you answer your phone?" And I'm like, phone. You could be spam, bro.
Exactly, you're all spam.
Welcome to the Full Charge Power Hour. I'm Matt Fulcheron. I got the whole gang here. I got Craig Coleman.
Yeah.
I got Brian Irwin.
There he is.
Oh, yeah, we got to plug some stuff. Patreon.com/The Full Charge. We got Eric Wendell movie reviews on Patreon now. So exclusively on Patreon.
There you go.
So if you want to hear those, if you missed those in our new setup, then you can slap down $1, $1.50, $20, $30. And if you'd like to see us back in a better studio, pledge about $100. Don't cancel that shit. And come see me on tour. Thefullcharge.com. I'm going to be in San Diego. I'm going to be in Chicago, Milwaukee, Dallas, Texas, Sacramento, San Francisco, and Denver. That's a fucking tour right there. And Craig, let's get to the bottom of it. My lady is at a protest right now.
Oh, God, is she, dude?
Yeah.
Why?
Because, dude,
I know
fascism.
Yeah, I hear you, dude.
This is the last last hurrah.
Till you catch some tear gas in your face.
She brought goggles. I don't want to concentrate on this.
Sure.
You've been witnessing this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you posted something online that we were talking about offline that I thought you were just posting you on a daily, like I thought that everything was happening was part of whatever you were filming.
Right, everybody.
And then other people were like, no, he is probably filming next to a protest downtown.
Yeah.
Is that what was happening?
Yeah, so we're at Union Station.
Okay.
They're doing a dance rehearsal, which I don't know if you've ever had to work with dancers. They're usually get under my skin the most. Because they're always dancing. Like,
really?
Like even when they're taking a break and they're just sitting there talking to their friends or like stretching their fucking leg or doing twirls and shit. It's just constant with dancers. They're annoying. It would be like you always doing your routine.
Right.
Okay.
You know?
We've all met those comics in the green room.
Yeah, so dancers are always like, oh, this room, and they're always just doing shit, and it just kind of gets on my skin.
Perpetually happy. It bothers
But then there's, and we could talk about that. There's another thing that happened on set that me and this other guy were talking about perpetually happy people, yes, that get on my nerves. And so we're in there, they're doing their thing, and then we just hear boom, 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 like just cannons. And it sounded close.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I just get up, beeline for the door, and for me, it's more like, oh, shit.
Wait.
I want to see what's going down.
Okay, so you didn't think there was something wrong on your job. You wanted to see what was up.
Well, so either that's right outside these doors or it's across the street. I mean, when you're downtown, it's always fire trucks, always police, and just...
But the fact that you want to run towards explosions cracks me up.
Well, I always do it in a safe way where I get to the door, and on the radio, I have my radio, so there's always someone closer that could be like, oh my God, it's coming in off of Alameda, and then I'm like turning around, headed to my car.
Okay.
Which is right outside that back door. So I head out, and all the dancers, they go, oh, should we? And I go, it's cool.
You stay.
Fat guy running fast, you know. And I go out there, and it's across the street, but can't really see much because it's actually around the corner, right, over at the 101. And then one of the supervisors is all, oh, you got to come down here, buddy. They're all, come down to the corner,
excited.
man. And they go, it's happening. So I was like, yes. So I just beelined over to there. And so we're across the street. CHP's got the off-ramps and on-ramps blocked off because the people always go down onto the freeway, which they did.
I did hear about that, yeah.
I didn't bother to walk over to see that because I was I was like, I've already spent enough time out here. But
Doesn't sound like it's too safe to get that close to anyway.
No, so I was close enough that it could have all turned and everybody could have, ran in our direction.
You could have stampeded.
But I also was like, yeah, but I'm only 40 feet away from another building that only I have keys to.
Well, that's nice.
So
you better be quick with those keys like in a horror movie, though.
yeah.
You better get that shit ready.
Yeah. No, it's one fob away.
I thought this was always made up. It turns out this shit's real.
No, I was ready with that fob.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so...
access denied. Access denied.
Then I would have been...
When did they put this on the door?
Son of a bitch!
Pancake Coleman.
So, yeah. So then...
That's a great band name.
Flat Krager.
So that was all day. That was all day. And it just kept the cannons getting louder and closer.
Who was shooting the cannons? So is it... I don't know who's actually involved in enforcement, because I know that is it the police or sheriff's department where, like, we're not getting involved in this, or, like, they have to get involved in depending on what's happening? Like, I don't even know what's going on.
So
like,
CHP was blocking the freeways.
Okay.
And then you had the LAPD was there. And then you had probably sheriffs. I didn't see sheriffs. I didn't even see a lot of police, to be honest with you. I mean, they were all in their cop cars. Were all over the place.
And the National Guard went to Paramount, California.
Which is...
they didn't come downtown.
They didn't go downtown.
No. No, I didn't see him downtown.
So who was you? So you don't know who was firing off the?
Yeah, it was definitely. So there was fireworks.
Oh, that's what it was.
So of course there was fireworks.
So that was protesters.
Protesters.
See, that's
had
not a good move for
fireworks.
protesters because it sounds like gunshots.
Not protesters. This is what people need to understand. Those are what's called anarchists.
They're just
anarchists. Are
agitators
anarchists have no loyalty to any cause.
They just
and people always confuse this shit. You can. I don't care what is going on, whether it's the January 6th shit or the protests of 2020.
Right. There's chaos.
They are going down there because they know they can do some shit because they can hide in the middle of a bunch of other people.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it is. Those are anarchists. They're not on one side. They don't belong to anybody.
Right.
They like to blow shit up. They like to knock shit down.
Yeah.
They belong to chaos.
Exactly.
Wherever the chaos is, they'll be
like
there.
chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was those people, which, by the way, every Friday and Saturday night, downtown LA,
there's anarchists.
There's an area that they always set off fireworks.
Yeah.
It's down by the river.
It's also my neighborhood. It's every night. I heard it.
Yeah. And the closer we get to July, the more people have that shit. And, in LA, it just lasts all year.
All year long.
So those guys, of course, were like, fuck yeah, break out the fireworks.
Sounds like a cannon, though.
So there was that.
There was so much smoke on your Instagram.
Well, then it starts. Well, then the rally begins like fireworks, yay! Tear gas, yay!
Yeah.
So then that starts happening.
That. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then apparently they set a Waymo on fire.
Really?
Those are those driverless
self-driving cars.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, this is where it starts.
Exactly.
We've all seen
This
the
is
movies.
bad, yeah.
This Waymo is now communicating with other Waymos. Artificial intelligence is going to continue
We
to
got to
get...
kill the
Right.
people.
Eventually, they're going to wonder where it all started. There it is.
This is it.
Right
So
there is the origin story.
So the thing with Waymos is they just drive in whatever direction they're headed, and they don't change their mind when there's people in the road. They just stop.
Right.
So if there's road construction, they're just confused and they just stop.
Right.
And they'll just sit
Right.
there. Because I guess I've talked to people that had street closed down for street fair, and Waymos will just start lining up, and they're all, "What are they doing?" And they're like, "They don't know the road's closed."
Yeah.
And they go, "Just move the barricades," and they do, and then they just proceed forward.
That's wild.
So that thing is going up Los Angeles Street, wall of people, and it just stops. And it's stuck there. And then the people fucking set it on fire because chaos.
Yeah.
And they're dumb.
yeah.
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 No, it's bad to get violent or anything like that right now because
It doesn't help any...
Well, it doesn't
violence
help.
doesn't help anyone's cause.
it's going to escalate.
It never does.
It's going to escalate quickly. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
the Trump government wants it to escalate.
For sure.
And so the best thing to do is be peaceful. By the time this podcast comes out, it's going to be a little late on that. But
it ain't gonna be the last protest.
No,
in
Hammers and nails,
America or
baby.
whatever,
Hammers
but
and nails.
The point is, I've never seen. When it gets out of control, I've never seen that be well, I think you made a point. We're going to have to go ahead and do what you asked. It never ends up
doesn't
that
work.
way. It
No.
never works.
Yeah.
What did
But that's why I say the majority of those people don't care about that part. The people that are doing it don't care about the end result. They're not
the
looking for the ultimate.
majority of the people are there just to show their face.
Correct. Yeah.
But the people that start the shit are not there for the cause.
No.
They're there for their own shit.
Yeah.
Because they know.
They're there for free whatever. Yeah, set that on fire.
It's exhausting.
I know, man. It's like you can't even fucking relax because there's just this impending fucking craziness coming from our own government.
So I had, and I don't want to, we don't have to put any of ourselves on blast on how we see anything, but at the end of the day, this is the thing that drives me nuts immediately is when I want to scroll, social media for a hot second, not X, because that's just a fucking...
Can't go there.
That's doom. That's doom and gloom, racism. I mean, it's the greatest hits of if you want to feel miserable about the world in your life.
It feels like if Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome were an app.
We're an app, yeah.
It just feels like the end of the world on there.
But I still float around. I still float around on Instagram and Facebook, and then I start seeing people that I know. If you're standing silent during this time,
right,
we can't be friends anymore, and all this shit. There's all this judgmental shit.
Yeah,
because I went through that in 2020.
Sure,
I would go on and I would try to be you. You made fun of me. I'm a voice of reason. I'm like, look, and people immediately. Everyone's telling me to fuck off. Everyone.
Right,
it doesn't matter what side you're on. I was like, well, this is, and that's when I realized. First off, I'm not that important that my opinion matters.
Right.
That's the first thing that I realized about myself.
Sure.
Stop being so self-important. Secondly, all it was doing was I would get in there and everybody would tell me to fuck off, and I'm like, why am I in here?
Right.
Why am I swimming in this fucking fuck off pool? There's no benefit to it.
There's I think it's obviously it's good to post about how you feel sometimes, but just like posting all the time, it doesn't really win people over, and the people that appreciate it, they're already thinking that way. It's just there's not much you can do.
Right.
If you are Brad Pitt, fuck yeah. Launch it out there.
Sure. Have something to say.
But like you said, so even people that agreed with you were getting upset with you?
In 2020, that's why he's laughing. He saw it. He enjoyed my threads. And it was just, I couldn't.
Because you were always one of those people who didn't care, didn't have a side, and were like, politics, whatever.
Which is true.
It doesn't matter. And then I'm like, okay. And then when it did matter, you were like, well, I just think that everybody should. And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'd read those. I go, here it comes.
Yeah.
Here comes your fucking church on Sunday and the rest of the week. I'm going to put my foot in people's ass.
Yeah.
And they piled on you, dude. Hard.
Yeah, you're going to be fighting with people.
Yeah, and that's not what I was looking for.
Sure.
But I should have known that's what I was gonna get.
I got a few weird friends that they just get a fucking hard on for that shit. And
fighting, they like to fight.
To just argue with people online, and I've asked, I go, why, dude?
Well, what's the end game?
Why?
There is no end game.
There isn't one.
Wake up the next day and do it again.
Yeah.
We had one on our crew. His name was Eric Wendell, and he would just go after people. He would seek it out.
He does.
It wasn't like you and me where we get on and our feed is just baiting us. He was like, I'm going to go look for people I disagree with.
And that's how my other buddy was, too.
And goddamn, if it's not another regret in my career, is having him and his banner say, the movie reviewer from the Full Charge Power Hour, while he goes out and confronts people all day long. And they click on his profile, and then they see me.
Right.
I probably agree with Wendell politically, but I'm not going after people like that.
No.
I might post my opinion sometimes.
Sure.
I hardly ever write anything on someone else's post.
No.
Unless it's positive. I do put my own shit. I have put my own opinions out there. I'm tired of it. You know how I fucking feel.
Yeah, we all have similar
Everybody
points
knows
of
how I
view.
fucking feel.
The only time I've gone on and just completely disagreed with somebody is somebody said, the Foo Fighters is a much better band than Nirvana. I'm like, Oh, fuck you.
Here we go.
All
Fuck
respect to Dave
you.
Grohl across the board,
Yeah,
folks.
for
All
sure.
respect, but
But you should
Nirvana
have known
is.
that was going to set off some people, though.
Right. And
Yeah, but he didn't write that. He just commented on it.
No, but I'm saying, but just that was like
the guy that laid that down.
right.
they
he
knew
was,
what they were doing. They
No,
weren't-
that's the whole point of that post.
and he took the bait, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
you motherfucker.
All I said is, I go, well, first of all, there'd be no Foo Fighters without Nirvana. And second of all, I don't think you know music very well.
Just insulted his own entire intelligence, his musical intelligence.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I don't know. My point is that I won't be writing any think pieces anytime soon.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just like, first off, nobody needs them from
Yeah.
me. And look, there are people. This is what I find interesting about the information world and the entertainment world. And there is some truth to this. And I can't remember what comedian it was. I happened to be flipping through like Sirius, and I was on one of the comedy channels, and they were interviewing this guy. And it is true what he said, is you have to get to a point where you cannot question the fact that you want to have a voice because you're fucked in the water. And this goes for comedy. It's like, it's so ridiculous when you really think about like how arrogant you have to be like, well, I'm going to go up there and I'm the
Right.
funniest motherfucker here.
Yeah.
And you need to think I'm funny and I'm going to become really popular standing on these stages and telling jokes.
Right.
And he goes, if you don't get to that point where you have to stop questioning that.
Uh-huh.
And you have to believe that, because if you question it, you
hold on.
basically you're stuck in a rut. If you ever question that, and that
Hold
goes
on. Question what?
How
whether-
good you are.
that you should be doing that anybody should care
Gotcha.
that you have a joke to tell on stage, or anybody should care that you have a think piece that you want to write, that anybody cares that you want to be a politician, that anybody cares. Like, you literally have to let go of that part of it and go,
Right.
it doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to do this shit.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you think about that's that last wall.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep going, you cannot look back on the yeah, but why should anybody care what I
yeah,
think?
Right.
have no doubt.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. When I started doubting myself on stage, I started sucking
Yeah, it's
balls.
Oh, yeah.
horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
For sure.
It was the first time that I stopped for a hot sec. I remember it. I was on stage, just like a bar gig, and something happened. I could always just plow through whatever and find
Yeah.
a way to have fun on stage.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I was just looking out at the audience, and I'm talking, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what is coming out of my mouth? What's happening right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Why should this be happening right
Yeah.
now? And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I started to lose it once it
Yeah.
really became my career, and it was month to month paychecks, whatever that expression is.
Yeah.
So I'm just like killing myself doing this job. And then you have difficult shows, and you go, well, I got no money in the bank, and this audience hated me. What the fuck am I doing? And then you're screwed. You know, it was only after the pandemic that I was able to recover, and be like, no, I actually want to do this, and I went back out with full force.
I don't know. It's just, I think that's exactly what you have to do. You either all this shit. It's fine, but you just got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're getting yourself into.
Yes.
And fucking just let the rest of the bullshit's got to go.
Yeah.
And that goes for that's what I'm saying. It's like when I realized after the 2020 shit, I was like, nobody needs to know my fucking opinion, because I couldn't handle
Right.
the spiraling of what was taking place around me. It was driving me
Yeah.
fucking insane.
Yeah.
So I was like, never again. And if you want to think that I don't give a fuck, that I don't have passion for shit
Yeah.
that's happening out there,
Right.
I do.
Yeah.
There are other ways to deal with shit. It's not because you had a fucking post with fucking a blue or white background on it. So it says it's not about that.
There are way better ways to affect society and change than a post.
There is. I'll tell you a perfect example. I remember a long time ago when I was single, I was hanging out with Baxter at Barney's Beanery, and these guys, we were talking with these girls, and these cool guys came in, and they were cool.
Yeah.
And they were better looking than us. They had everything.
Sure.
Did they play guitar or anything?
They may as well. Have. They could have
Probably.
done anything. They were going to win the night. Bottom line is that. They were going to win the night. Baxter and I knew that we had no chance.
Yeah.
But we also weren't hitting on the girls per se, if that makes any sense.
It
Like,
does.
we didn't think we were leaving with them. We were just having a good time with them.
Right.
These guys come in, and their move is to belittle the guys that they know that they're better than. That was their move, right?
Oh, wow.
So
course.
Welcome to
Baxter
Hollywood.
and I did exactly what you're supposed to do in a situation like that, which is on all these tables, because it's a restaurant, there's napkins and there's ketchup and there's mustard. And what you do is you take out the napkins and you lay them on the table and you put ketchup and mustard on it, and then you strategically lay it on the back of the chairs that that the cool guys are sitting on with their nice clothes. So while they're talking and they lean back, they get all their clothes are filled with ketchup and mustard. And then you go outside and you wait for it to happen, see them get really upset looking for you, but you're fucking gone. And you know you won. That's how you handle this shit.
So they were already in the chair and you just kind of draped it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Silent fucking.
Our thing was like, we're not going to go toe to toe to you with the machismo shit. We couldn't.
Sure.
Right.
So we were like, we're going to go silent but deadly move.
Yeah.
Like we're assholes.
Yeah.
So we have all these things that we know assholes can do behind closed doors, right? Like, so we just
very
pulled
punk
that
rocky, you dude. Yeah, that's the silent revenge, dude.
Hey, man, this is suede. You can't get ketchup out of suede. Yeah. They sound like suede people.
Yeah.
Well, that would be the ultimate, right? Like the unwashable. Like basically put something on something that you can't get out. Like it's basically full destruction. But we've talked about this before in the past. I don't do it anymore, but way back in the day. You'd be with the production. And you know, we all worked at the Herald Examiner, and the Herald Examiner from time to time would get really bad productions. Really low budget. People just really didn't have... Conduct has changed a lot in the business, but back then people were kind of assholes, and it was okay. Like no one questioned being an asshole back in the day. So
I think it also depends where they are.
What do you mean? Where they are in the...
So if they're in an old abandoned place, they treat it as such.
Yeah, that's true.
And when you try to tell them like, "Oh, you can't do that," they're like, "Fuck this place. This place is trash."
But I'm just talking about the overall, I think, attitude people have towards each other. There was a lot of pissiness back in the day.
And it was a value.
Yeah, condescending talk. So if it ever got really bad, what Baxter and I would do is we would just go sit up in the office and sit with the radio, and every time the first AD tried to tell everybody what to do, we would just we would just key the fucking radio.
Yeah. Right.
And then when he was done, he'd be like, all right, so I got, and then we just do it again, and you just start hearing the frustration.
Right.
It'd be like, if you're going to be a bunch of fucking pricks all day long, we are going to slow this motherfucker down to a goddamn halt.
I
don't do that shit anymore, but we used to key the mics.
I remember one time I had...
that's brilliant.
I had a guy...
Sorry, I probably should have told you that.
I like that.
Okay.
I had a guy that was like just on my ass all day long, like always needed me on the walkie-talkie all day long. And, you're there 12, 14 hours. You got to take a shit every once in a while. And I left the walkie-talkie on the counter, and it's only like 2 minutes. But the dude's flipping out. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here, after I finished my business. And he was just like, where were you? What was going on? I go, I was taking a shit.
It's still probably not good enough.
Which is illegal. Right? I think it was illegal for me to say that.
You're supposed to be 10-1.
Yeah.
Right? Is it 10-1? 10-1's
I don't know.
It's 10-1.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Well, 10-2, but nobody says 10-2.
Yeah.
One guy on the radio, they said, "Where are you?" And he goes, "I'm in a tiny room with little lit lighting and no windows." And someone goes, 10-1. He's 10-1.
Oh, so there is code for that on a film production.
Yeah.
Well, let me show my rookie status once again.
We're talking about, 10, 15 years ago? All these stories are from a long time ago.
Sure.
A different time.
Oh, I wish.
People are way more chill now, in general.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Everybody's happy to be working
because they're
these
happy
days.
to be working.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really see conflict like the way you used to see back in the day. And I can only imagine what we faced, what it must have been like even 10, 20 years before we got in the game.
Oh, back when everybody was on cocaine?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Like, can you imagine if everybody's on different drugs and that was completely acceptable?
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of cocaine in the 80s in film production.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a lot.
From the script to the editing room.
It just one long line
to promotion.
I worked.
Yeah, the fattest line you ever snorted.
So it's when you work with those guys that did like those movies in the 70s and the 80s. There was just this one guy, and everybody's gathered around him. And I go, "Oh, this is the old guy." I go, "Let's go hear what story he's telling." And he was like, "We had, it was the Blues Brothers."
Yeah.
This is a different story. The location guy, he goes, "So I had a briefcase full of cash." He goes, "That's how I used to do my job. How much can we rent this space to shoot?" And they'd say how much, and I'd just whip out the cash. And he goes, "We had a $10,000 budget just for cocaine." I go, "What?" I go, "Was that John Belushi's cocaine?" "No, he had his own budget. That was for the crew." I go,
I've heard about this.
"Holy shit." He goes, "Good cocaine." I go, yeah, I'm sure.
I like how he wanted to clarify that. Like, you needed to know. Well, yeah, but what level?
Look, Coleman, this wasn't stomped on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I don't even know what that means.
These were the salad days of cocaine.
It was.
You actually got cocaine when you got cocaine.
What did my dad say?
I have no idea what. Because of all
now
the
there's
fentanyl.
everything in it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
now there's
everything,
fentanyl.
including other drugs that'll kill you.
Stomped on means like you put B12 in it.
To spread it out.
Okay, got it. You're
Make it bigger.
watering it
Yeah.
down, if you will.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
the pencil shavings of the marijuana age.
Sure,
The
yeah.
Mary Jane in high school of the
yeah.
80s age. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, just so we're all clear, pencil shavings never looked anything remotely close.
Did people put it in your weed?
No, I don't. That had to have been some bullshit, right? Because it doesn't even have the
probably
same
like
color.
razor blades in
Yeah.
the fucking Halloween candy.
Well, that changed Halloween forever, though.
Yeah, but hold on. Now you're smoking lead, like pencil shavings.
Yeah.
Are you smoking the whole thing? Or I suppose at some point you'd realize that.
It's going to be mixed up.
Yeah,
If it's
but-
pencil shavings, you're not really going to see it. It's just going to be tiny little pieces all
so
over the
you've done
place.
this. You know what's up.
I've never fucking stepped on anything
Okay.
except for a banana peel.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah, I never
No,
had
I've
it.
never
even have
sold
kids.
drugs. Are you kidding me?
No. I thought.
I've never even bought drugs till they were legal.
No, I
barely.
meant, did you ever smoke? That you found out afterwards it was pencil shaving.
Never.
Kind of thing. Okay.
No.
I would never. This is the first I'm hearing of this.
No,
to be honest
because
with you.
You've
usually
never heard of the pencil shaving?
I've never
theory?
heard of this. No, I heard of oregano.
No, I've never
heard
heard
of
of that.
oregano.
I don't know anything about drugs. That's the only thing I know.
Yeah, but you don't know. No.
So wait, you're saying that I'm
You
the
never.
only person that ever
you never
knew?
bought. You never bought no pencil shavings. So you don't really know.
No, I've never heard that one.
That's pre-internet rumors. Hey, psst, you hear about this?
yeah.
Mikey from the Life cereal commercial died
Oh, yeah,
from drinking
that
Pop
kind of
Rocks
shit.
and
Right,
Coke. It's
right.
all nonsense.
I do remember there was
Right.
one moment because it wasn't a big thing yet. There was one. You'd be like, see that dude over there? I'm like, yeah. They're like, he sells pills in the fucking bathroom. You're like, you fucking kid, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like that. That was like some fucking big. No one talked about it. It's
Yeah.
like I don't even want to get. That's fucking. And you're like, well, who's buying the pills?
I was in
Like,
a
it was-
different world than you were, dude.
Oh my god.
This is nothing to him. This is fifth grade to him.
I would have been. Yeah, dude.
Look, we all know I grew up in innocent. I'm not.
Sure,
I'm
me
not-
too.
That's so great.
For a
dude.
non-religious guy, I couldn't have been more.
Yeah.
Like
Right. Like you should have been.
conservatively religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should
Without
have been.
without a denomination at all.
Yeah, I'm surprised,
would-
yeah, you weren't knocking on doors talking about Jesus every third day of the week. Wow.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. And I was religious. So how do you like that?
So did you go to church every Sunday and all that stuff? You did.
Yeah, I was in the church folk rock band.
Okay, you
How you
are.
like,
Okay.
How you like me now?
Okay. You see, my
That's awesome.
so did your parents make you
I've been
go?
I've been in a church band. I've been in a band with Craig Coleman.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Well,
No,
two different churches, but
Yeah,
yeah,
college band.
yeah. What was your question?
well, so I was able to convince. My parents still went. I was just like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got
good
away
for
with
you.
that, but I think they were just like, yeah, all right, fine, whatever. But
Oh.
I went to Catholic
no,
school.
my parents are cool. They were like, they
I
let
went
me
to
out.
Catholic church. I did the whole thing. I got
Yeah.
confirmed. The whole thing.
Never got confirmed. I got it. It was called CCD or something like that.
Yeah,
was that what
sure.
it's called? Whatever.
That's like the
class you
GED
go. Yeah.
of Catholic school.
I don't know how I
That's
got out of
hilarious.
all of it, but I did. I got out of all of it.
Because you were smart enough to go, I don't want to go.
Look,
I wasn't that smart.
And your parents just didn't drag you.
I'm gonna guess. So I'm the youngest of 7. So this is my theory, and I'll ask my parents later. But being the youngest of 7, I was the last one.
Oh.
I probably never shut the fuck up. I probably complained nonstop, beat them senseless with my complaining to where they were like, you know what? We got 6 through.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck number 7.
Yeah.
Like, we got it. We're out. Whatever you want to do, right? Like I
You're like-
probably just was
You're-
relentless.
Yeah.
You were like, so he died, and then 3 days later came back to life.
No, not even in that's that's thinking too much about it. I'm
Oh.
talking about just complaining.
I don't
about
wanna go
having-
down
yes,
there.
He doesn't want to be in the
complaining-
building.
Doesn't he want
That's it.
I gotta put on those pants
Yeah.
and the button up.
on a Sunday.
on a Sunday? Yeah, day off? No.
So I would always like my dad is like, fuck no, no church.
So you had no religion in your house at all?
zero.
Any of your closely extended family at all? Was anybody like were they seen as the super religious
So
one?
I find out later that my grandma, who I would say these were the Coleman side, was the least religious.
Okay.
She was a Quaker.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's real dedication.
Like, you can't
right there.
even get more.
Yeah.
Like, those are the people that came over.
It's the oatmeal of religion.
Yeah.
Very bland.
You know, those are the people that came over
Life.
on the
Mayflower?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because,
One of those boats.
Because England hated them.
Yeah, no, yeah. They came
They
here
were
for
the most
religious
pious
freedom. Yeah.
people. And everybody was just like, they were just getting on everybody's nerves, you know, like fucking Jehovah's Witnesses. Like,
'Cause they
shut up and get out of here.
Yeah, they out-religioned the other religions.
Yeah.
They were like, listen, it's hard enough with
Yeah.
our own rules.
Yeah, we got all this shit.
All right, now you don't want us to have electricity? I know the timeline's off on this conversation, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I guess when she married my grandpa, like, that was out. Because he's like, no way, I'm already going to hell.
Wait a minute. So she was a Quaker, but she ended up marrying someone who had no skin in the game at all.
Zero.
Fascinating.
Yeah, zero. So that was a wrap
That
on
is-
I
church.
wonder how that played out.
I can tell you.
It was a different world back then. I think the man had a lot to say. Yeah.
She was afraid of my grandpa, it turns out. He was our greatest, the grandpa that we had, we thought he was the greatest guy in the fucking world.
Well,
but,
yeah.
But we had sober grandpa.
Right.
My aunts and uncles and my grandma had fucking, who are you today?
Right.
Oh, raging
Oh, my
alcoholic guy.
Oh, so he cleaned up later in life, so you got the good
And he
version.
was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is the guy that shot at his kids to teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Out in the cornfields or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they didn't shoot him, just shot at, like,
Shot
by them.
over their heads.
Just
yeah.
to let them know. Over
Yeah.
their heads, that's nasty shit.
Yeah. Which, when you're thinking he's probably day drinking.
Can you guys imagine?
Yeah.
Can you guys imagine trying to teach your kids a lesson like that?
Right, no.
Can you imagine doing that to your kids?
No.
Like shooting at them to be like, I told you not to look. I
Right.
told you to look both ways before you cross the street.
No, I can't imagine my dad either. Like, you did what?
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about civilized society.
Sure.
Now, I'm not going to say that shit still doesn't play out in the sticks somewhere.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
We always want to believe that everybody is as evolved as us in the city area.
We keep making that mistake.
Have you guys ever? You've both traveled,
Oh, well, they
Have
were
you ever-
country people.
right? But I'm saying, I'm talking about the now.
Yeah.
Have you been in some parts of America where it's so rural that you're like, oh, they're?
Yeah.
I don't even mean this in a bad way, but I'm just like, oh, they're way behind.
They're off the grid.
They are off the grid. That's why they're way behind.
Look,
That's how
I lived-
off the grid it is.
When I lived in Alaska for 7 years,
Right.
and we came back to the lower 48, it was like stepping into the future.
Okay.
I mean, I ain't even kidding, dude.
The future and the past
Like
all at once.
ATMs, we were like, what? Like they had ATMs up there, but they were like that big blocky green screen.
And it would be like connecting to phone line.
Yeah, I mean, you almost felt like there's somebody gonna just hand you,
Right?
the
Yeah.
money,
There's
you know?
comes out. That's hilarious.
And yeah, and so when we came here, you could get gas at the pump,
Oh, what? What?
the machine. You know,
Yeah, so
you
what?
slide the
I
card.
understand how we do it. How does Alaska do
They
it?
didn't have it. You had to go inside
Oh, and just
and give them cash.
okay, but there
There's
was
no debit card.
but there was a pump, right?
there was.
So you just couldn't use a car. No, that's Southern
A
Maryland,
guy,
dude,
came
for
out
sure.
with a guy came out with a bucket
Yeah.
and was like trying to pour it in.
How much you want?
Dude,
Half bucket or whole bucket?
we had the same thing in Southern Maryland, and I remember one time I paid $10, and it came out to like $9.96, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll go get my change.
Damn right. Corporation ain't gonna have
And
it.
I go there. I'm glad you said that because I go there and I'm like, yeah, let me get my change from pump 9, and the guy's like, he looks at how much it is. He goes, oh, come on. And I was just like, sorry, dude. Like, what's it to you? You know,
More money, bitch.
Like, just give it to me, you know? I'm glad you say that. And I told my mom, and she said the same thing. But I told, because there was the moment where I go, am I really going to go get 4 cents?
Yeah.
But you got to know, back then, 4 cents was worth 12 cents.
Yeah.
But the dude lost his shit. He was night shift for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy is not, he probably
I'm not-
died when he was
yeah.
56.
Yeah, just
and never,
stroked out.
it's the shortest obituary of all time.
Dude, that's the one thing about production. When you do overnights in buildings and you find out who the overnight security is, and you're like, oh, we're in a whole different world of human beings.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason why they're not allowed in daylight in
Working
uniform.
on the grave shift.
Yeah, you have to. It does. Those are different people. They function in a different world than we do.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
If you work all overnights, your world is it's like you're not up during daylight hours for
Yes.
the most part.
No.
And when you are, you're not up where the majority of the people are doing what they do.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. You don't function well with a lot of people around.
Yeah,
True statement.
you're operating on like 11% of the population is who you're meeting.
Right.
If
So,
that.
Where's the most outside of America place that you've ever been where you're like, wow, we're really not as connected here?
Well, Alaska for starters.
All right.
You know, I went to Alaska. But the thing about people that are off the grid, and this is just a generalization, I can't think of anything specific, but you don't really know what their house looks like. You don't really know, and they don't necessarily know where to start with you in a conversation. So you're not learning a lot of details about these people. They might react to your jokes, but that's not a clear statement of how they're living their lives.
Right.
And I'm under the impression that almost everybody's on social media.
You would think.
No?
You would think. I don't know. I'm saying, but there's probably still places that are borderline shanty towns.
A lot.
Deep in areas of America but it's by choice for them. Like everybody knows you can hitchhike or get in a car and drive
Yeah.
to somewhere else and have a different life.
Yeah.
A lot of these people, they say
They
they
won't
don't
leave,
have a choice.
though.
But it is a choice, right? It's a choice to live your life a specific way.
Absolutely. And I think we can all see the appeal of that sometimes. But I don't know. It's like living in the pandemic all the time or something. It's limited.
Yeah, you don't leave what you know.
But also you don't run into fucking jerk-offs all day long.
There's that.
Yeah, there is a trade-off. I mean, again, you know what you know, and you're kind of okay with that.
You know what you know, and you know who you know. You know everybody in town.
Have you guys seen? There's
You don't
no
need
way you haven't
Facebook.
seen this. Speaking of social media, there's no way you haven't seen these videos of that inbred family that the guy did the
The
documentary
whites.
Yeah,
haven't-
meet the what? Yeah, Johnny Knoxville did this
Whites.
documentary.
on. The ones where one guy talks with like grunts or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, I mean, I'm not saying that's how everybody is, but that's a perfect
Eradicate,
example.
dude.
That's a perfect example of a world where they're just like.
What do we know between the three of us about the Appalachian Mountains?
No,
I think
know
I
nothing
passed
other
through
than
it,
what
but
I've been
that
told.
is a place where people are just like in their own world, right? Like they're like their own country.
My aunt did. She worked for the forestry there, and she was on like fire watch, where she would
Yeah.
sit in a tower and literally just look out at the woods. And she goes, "Oh, let me tell you, Craig, there is just a whole different kind of breed of people out there, boy." I'd be like, "Yeah," like I didn't even understand what she's talking about, and I'm like, "This family's hillbilly." Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You're talking about some real hillbillies.
Yeah. No, it's like, and that's why I don't even think they do a good enough job in that show Ozark. Like when you go to these
sure.
communities, you are a fucking outsider.
You're an outsider.
And they got their own operation going. And
Yeah.
it's funny how easy Jason Bateman's family just kind of assimilates. I guess it's kind of like because of money.
Well,
But
when we lived up in Washington, when my dad died, and we inherited his fucking double wide out in the fucking woods. You
Right.
know, my last 4 blocks of driving was dirt road, and I was just like, God, what's with my dad and dirt roads? He always has to live off a fucking dirt road, man. Like, this is America.
it's like your old joke. Like you can see people coming miles away from the
Yes.
dust, like in the sky.
Yes. Dude, and you're just so far out from everything. And those people out there were weird.
Yeah.
Fucking weird.
So how did you get to know them? At bars or at restaurants?
They
How did
didn't
you get
like
to-
us.
Really?
They hated us.
Because they didn't know your face.
We had California plates.
Oh my God.
You know, right away.
What a sin.
There's that.
Yeah.
If I wore a button-up shirt, just a fucking button-up shirt, you know, to go pick up my kid from the daycare, they'd be like, "Wow, where are you guys headed to?" And Karen always looks sharp, but she's not like dressed for
Right. She's not
to
going
to the office.
She's not going to the Met Gala. Right.
Yeah, and they would just be like, "Dang!" We're like, "We're going to Tacoma."
What would they wear that made it seem so?
Just t-shirts and a hat.
Like a free camel.
Both men and women.
Yes.
They wear like
Yes.
the Budweiser shirt you get with a 24-pack.
Yeah, and that's my thing. It's like, I'm like, it's not like you dug out the dirty clothes of what you're wearing today. You just wear a button-up shirt.
So you guys hung up some of your clothes, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that town was just so fucking weird. Then, like I said, they were all most of them were a lot of military people. So when you hung out with them all, they'd be like, "Oh, Obama, man, you know what's going on, right?"
So it starts getting dark real
You
quick.
saw the start of all this Facebook
Yeah, I
shit.
saw it. Yeah, and they're talking to you about all this shit, but they were like, "But we're ready out here. We're ready."
And they are.
They do
And
know
they
that no
are.
one's ever coming there, though, right?
Well,
The invasion is never going to make
that
it
part
there.
they don't know, but they are very prepared.
but they're prepared for
But
it.
the aliens go to those areas, and I don't know why.
Listen,
They don't go to the cities for some reason.
Yeah, because no one's gonna believe these fucking people.
well, no,
and no one's gonna see it.
but there was a period in the 80s where it was small town folk claiming to have been abducted. There was like an epidemic of people saying that they were abducted by aliens.
Sure.
And it was always in a small town joint. Now I don't hear people talking about that anymore. Maybe you're in an internet circle that I'm not.
Yeah.
They don't. That's funny. That's right. Do they still? Does that?
Well, because
The anal probe thing. That was like a thing. It was like
because
you get
it's
sucked up.
If you say it, everybody shits on you. You're crazy. You're full
Right.
of shit.
Right.
You're a liar. So then people just stopped even talking about seeing UFOs.
Well, how come they didn't stop talking about Jesus? Because I never seen his ass.
Because enough people still believe it.
I know. Right. So there's enough people to listen and go, yes,
Yeah,
okay, you
yeah.
saw it.
So now they're
a piece of
talking-
French toast.
So now they're admitting, yes, UFOs are real.
yeah.
But they still will not talk about the abductions.
Okay.
Even the people that are in the disclosure world will not talk about, because they'll say, well, who's flying them?
Uh-huh.
And they'll say NHI, non-human intelligence.
Waymo.
What does that mean? They won't say. They're like, well, we don't know. We know there's probably 4 or 5 types.
So
well, you
there's
also
still-
you can't expect somebody to get like, say I was like kidnapped on an Amtrak train. They'd be like, well, who was driving the train? I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I wasn't even up in that part.
Whoever checks on that shit anyway, unless it drives in front, like, and you're waiting for
Yeah,
it as
right.
it comes up.
Yeah.
You see the dude in there, which is always weird anyway.
I'm going to need to see the pilots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
No, we're kidnapping you. I have my demands.
So they won't talk about this. The disclosure people won't say what it is, and the government won't admit what they know.
Uh-huh.
And I heard somebody the other day, they go, why? Why? We already know they're not from here, or they're not us.
Right.
And he goes, because what do you say to everybody? So these guys can come and go as they please. They blip in and out of existence. We don't actually know where they're from. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they want. They've been here forever, and there's nothing we can do about it. He goes, how good would you feel seeing that on the news?
I feel like there's so much more. I don't see anything in the news that makes me feel good. So I
Right.
don't know why.
That's my point.
I don't know why that wouldn't make it to the news.
That's my point. I'm like, you should just fucking tell people and just get it fucking over with.
I told you that story. Did I told you the story about the guy that I worked with that used to work in military intelligence and talked about stuff in Utah and where he worked?
No, a little bit.
And that he was like, if you look out at the Utah mountains, there's an area that only certain people know. If you just keep driving, it looks like you can drive forever, and you drive through. It's basically a mirage.
Okay.
And it's like once you get on the other side, there's a military base there, and then it goes underground. And he said that they have, and this, and again, I thought I told you about this. He was like, I don't know why. He was either messing with me 100% or he was just telling the truth. But he was like, I have seen and I have heard people from not this planet. He's like, and I go, well, why are you telling me? He goes, because at the end of the day, what are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who's going to, they're going to say he's lying anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And you're
And
gonna
he goes, so they don't even care, like,
And that's why he didn't care to tell you, because no one's going to believe you anyway.
and you're gonna feel dumb when no one believes you, and you're gonna stop talking about it.
because then, if I get goosebumps just remembering that conversation, because I was like, yeah, but, like,
Yeah.
you bore witness these things. He's like, yeah, there's people, they talk to
Yeah.
him and stuff like that. I go, well, what are they? He goes, remember, you ever heard about the lizard people? I go, so you're saying lizard people? He's like, no. I'm just telling you that, like, that doesn't just come from nowhere.
Right. Thank you.
So that may
V-
be exaggerated.
So they've been talking about lizard people since they've been fucking painting on walls.
Right.
So V got it right. That miniseries on TV.
He would never.
degree,
he would
maybe.
always stop. It was almost like he was a great creative writer. He would always stop before he gave you a full exposition, before he gave you all the information.
All those guys do.
They give you just enough to know that there's some shit going on.
Right.
That, and his whole argument was, because I said, do you ever talk, now that you're retired, when this comes up in family, Like, how do you feel with respect to your family? How much information do you feel comfortable sharing with your family? Do you feel like you have to share with them because of a threat? Like, as an actual, are you concerned about your family or what? And he said, the concern I have for my family is the less they know, the better.
Yep.
I'm not concerned from a physical threat standpoint.
Right.
Well, my dad
anything.
is an aerospace engineer on a Navy base.
There's no way he didn't know something.
Maybe
He
or
never-
maybe
he
not.
never told us
it's
anything.
compartmentalized.
Or, as I say, or he was given information that they don't. They, you know what I mean? Like technology shit, where this is what they always claim,
right?
That they get technology stuff, they break it down,
And they don't know what it's from,
and then they start
Reverse engineer
incorporating
it?
this shit, and then that's how we get stuff.
Oh, that's how we get radar and shit like that.
Yeah,
we figured it out from the aliens.
Some of it,
yeah.
But so then there's people like your dad who probably just when they took their oath, they're like, okay, fuck yeah, no one needs to know this shit.
Or he genuinely doesn't know.
Or he doesn't know.
Or it could be top secret.
Because it's so compartmentalized that the guy over here, he doesn't know what these guys in the room next to him are working on. It's just like the nuclear, when they were making the nuclear weapon. They didn't all know what they were doing until they dropped that shit. And then some of them went, oh, fuck.
Oh,
yeah.
I was working on that.
Yeah.
Why'd we do that?
And then they probably,
Too late.
And then as soon as they saw that, they go, oh.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they were quiet. Because they're like, fuck. My
Well, they don't want to be dirty.
There's blood on my hands.
Yeah, they didn't want to be known for that shit.
Yeah, and that's the same with the UFO shit. You know, you're like, what you want to let people know that you're well aware that thousands of people were abducted over their lifetime. You know, and also when you see some of that shit, like in person, you have nowhere to put it. When you see a UFO and you know we didn't make that. You have nowhere to put it in your brain.
Look, I mean,
it fries your brain for a second.
I know you've always thought that I was a doubter. I just wish that I had full proof, but I could only imagine what it would be like if the three of us were grabbed, walked into a room, and go, "Well, there it is. There's an alien." How would we even process it anyway?
Well, that's the other part.
I think our podcast would finally blow up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about being shown an alien and how much more you need to understand. You would want to know how the fuck did we get here?
Well, that's
just that. And where did it come from?
Right.
How far away? What's that world look? You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden there's just so much.
Well, that's the thing. They have screen memories, so people won't even know what happened. They're like, yeah, me and my buddy, we were driving, we saw a red light, we saw this thing come down, and then we woke up 3 hours later, 100 miles down the road in the wrong direction.
What was that movie that was actually pretty active? It was the guys that to this day they still are pissed off that people make fun of. There was a whole
Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky. Those guys still to this day are like...
That guy's passed so many
What
lie
happened?
detector
For those that
tests.
don't know, what happened?
They were loggers in Oregon.
Okay.
It was night, and they were done for the day. They were driving back down the mountain.
Night shift. Day shift.
And they saw a fire. It looked like the forest was on fire up ahead, and they were like, "Oh shit, what should we do?" Because like they're stuck up the road.
And this would have been the 80s?
80s
or early 90s.
It was very early 80s
Prime time.
or late 70s. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think 80s.
Okay.
Early 80s. And so they decided, let's just drive down there and we'll just get past it.
Okay.
Because they're on logger roads. These are logger roads. And so as they're driving down, and then they get and they see it. There's a UFO like right there, just above the tree line, and they can visit. They're like, "Holy shit! Like what the fuck?" And one of the guys jumps out of the car because he's just drawn to it, and he was the only guy that was like, and this is Travis Walton, and he was like, drawn to UFO. He had looked at UFO stuff before. And so he was like, whoa, and he just jumps out of the car and starts running towards it. And they're all like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're like screaming at him, get back in the car. And he ran out there, and all of a sudden just the thing like just shot like a burst of energy. And they thought it killed him because he just fucking laid out dead. And he was just on the ground. And they were like, go, get out of here. He's dead. And so they took off. And then they came back, and he was gone.
Huh.
And he was gone for 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just came back. And so everybody in town was like, you killed him. And they passed lie detector tests and stuff. And, and they tried to say what they saw. Nobody bought that shit.
Right.
And then he just shows up naked.
Lazarus.
In the middle of fucking nowhere. Yeah. And then his story, he woke up on a ship.
Wow. I don't ever want to wake up on a ship. Do you want to get abducted, Craig?
Fuck no.
Okay.
No.
You just want to meet him.
No.
He just wants video footage.
You would have nothing to do with him.
I don't want nothing to do with it.
Why?
Because it'll bend your brain. Trust me, it bends your brain.
Well, that's like I said. That's what the guy was
To
talking
have
about.
that
It's
thought
like,
pattern of
everything you know now is no longer.
It's different.
And now you got to like live in this world with other people.
Yeah.
Regular people
Meaning
who
that
have
the
not been
universe-
abducted.
You can tell yourself, yeah, there's other shit on the universe, but you never see it. You don't have to worry about it.
And even if
then
you
you meet it, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, this just got way too more real than I need.
It's
Yeah.
like in the Hurt Locker
Right.
where he's just sitting. He goes to Iraq and then he comes back and he's just in the grocery aisle looking at all the
Yeah.
cereal. That's what it's like.
How different. You're just like, oh my God.
Do you relate any of this to the fact that we only use 10% of our brain, and there's a reason for that?
Maybe.
Is that true? We only use 10% of our brain because this shit is heavy.
That's what I heard,
That's
but I
what
also
they
heard about
say.
pencil shavings and marijuana. So
Right.
you should probably not
Yeah.
use me
Yeah.
for a source of
Yeah.
fucking anything.
But
Yeah.
then there's other people that are like fucking way beyond it, right?
So there's just shit in your skull that we don't know what it does.
Unused. Well, apparently you do if you take DMT or whatever.
Yes,
It's,
Then you can
DMT.
access it. But it's got to be doing something the whole time, right? It's got to be regulating something.
it's there.
Or
I guess that's a neuroscience
Maybe that's
question, I suppose.
Maybe
but-
that's your
we are-
subconscious.
we are so far from neuroscientists. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Hey, don't put yourself
100%.
down
I mean,
like that. I
What
mean,
did you get in biology? Do you even
Listen,
remember?
we could learn all about it on YouTube and probably talk to those guys.
Right.
That's my favorite about people. They're always like, do your own research. Like, or
No.
let the people that have been doing it for, well, but everything's a lie now,
I'll watch
so.
3 YouTube videos and I'll put all the stuff together that I think that sounds most logical.
I'm looking at what percent of your brain do you use, and
Okay.
it automatically comes up as what percent of the world is white. Which just comes up. People are looking
Apparently,
at shit.
While
that's
you're
what
doing that-
everybody's looking at.
While you're doing that, I got to ask you guys a question. I know this is way off of left field, but have you ever seen the Trivago commercial with that dude with the teeth?
Huh?
I don't.
There's it's like a travel booking commercial. I only bring it up because he's got a lot of his teeth are big, but they're also super white, and it's very distracting.
Yeah.
I'm only bringing it up because in my feed this weekend came up some sort of Jay and Silent Bob video for like a short video called Donut Shop.
Yeah.
but I couldn't. Jay Muse, he got fake teeth, and they're super white.
Right.
And it's so distracting.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what he does.
Sure, you're looking at the
whole
teeth.
You're
time. I'm
looking at
like,
the
stop with the
teeth.
teeth. Stop with the teeth.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, am I the only person that looks at that when teeth are too perfect?
No, everybody does it. Some people,
Is
you
it
know,
the veneers thing?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
some people you know it's fake and you go, that's fine. Some people it's all you can see.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It's so much.
If I all of a sudden did it, you'd be like, oh, God. Craig's different.
I feel like there's a different mentality about plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery, though, especially oral stuff. Like, I feel like people are like, "Oh, good for you." Like, it's changed from like the '80s where it's like, "You got work done." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Ah, it looks good though."
Yeah.
I just think that you got to be careful how much.
Well,
because
and-
if it's drastically different.
And what do people
Right.
need from you if you're Jason Mewes? Like, you're known for being the dirtbag in Clerks. You don't have to
You
look
can't
like
have
Julia
great
Roberts.
teeth. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you shouldn't have great teeth.
it's not going to affect your business.
Now, I want to be clear that I am not a judgmental person because I want
Okay.
you guys to know when I decided that I was not going to be a commercial actor in this business.
Yeah.
When my agent said, get some headshots, and I did. Now I'm really good at Photoshop.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And my headshot came in, and I didn't like the way my teeth looked. So I actually scanned the headshot and tried to fix my teeth
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
in it. And it became so obsessive that when I was finally done, I was like, oh, this one's good. I probably should send this one.
Oh.
Thank God I didn't fucking hit send.
Yeah.
I got to find it, and I'll show you
Right.
guys. It looks so bad. It looks like Jason Mewes' teeth on fucking steroids. Like
They're coming
and
past
I,
your
and I was
chin.
like, have I lost my mind? Like
Yes.
like first off, teeth are characters, right? Like
Yeah.
that's if you're an actor, like you don't want to look perfect and like everybody else. There's
Right.
a select group of people
Yes.
that's what they're for.
Yes.
Everybody else. You look the way you look,
It's-
and either people like your look or they don't, right? Like,
It's
you have to-
amazing how many people on television have bad teeth or bad hair or bad skin or bad whatever because only like it depends on what show it is, but most of the time you just need one good looking person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
You know?
like, we got Jennifer
Especially-
Aniston.
yeah.
She's in this for this.
Especially-
we need your jagged mouth.
Yeah. Like in a comedy or
Yeah.
even like a gritty drama. Or like a cop show, you don't need everybody showing up with the pearly whites.
Yeah, they're like,
who's going to play the criminal?
Yeah, that's why we got jagged teeth. We got lazy eye over here.
Bad
we got
hair.
this ugly motherfucker.
Overweight Steve over there.
Like, Fat Boy Craig. That's why you guys are here.
And then you see so many actors working who are bald. And you go, you obsess over it or whatever. And then you go, well, they're doing fine, though.
Exactly.
Oh, look at all these people. There's like bald, like Jeff Bezos. You know what I mean? Like, nobody cares.
Yeah, back when I was like doughy, I worked the most. Because they're like, you look like most of America. You look like people that should be on TV.
I think it's a slippery slope trying to be too perfect.
You don't want to be perfect.
No.
You don't want to try to be perfect because you'll never be done.
Well, also I've come to realize, and I realized it more once I had kids because I was like, oh, sorry about that, guys. You look at your kids, you're like, oh, I gave you probably some of my. Now I understand. Well, we're never gonna quite get there. Like everybody. Like at one point, you want to be you think
our
you
genetics
could, you think
aren't
you could
good.
be Adonis.
Well,
it's not even a real thing.
You married up, and then your kids need to keep marrying up if you want to be perfect.
I guess
it's a shitty gene pool. You need to make it better.
Yeah.
I say you did your part.
You did your part.
Yeah.
You upgraded.
Yeah.
No, my kids are actually in really good shape and stuff like that. But I'm talking about like.
Yeah.
You see these other kids, and you see people that are like perfectly ripped. They barely work out.
Oh yeah.
Right. The square jaw, the great hair.
It'll hit them. It'll hit them.
Hey, really?
Sometimes it don't.
Some people that's just their gift.
That's what I'm saying. It is a gift, right? That is their gift.
Yeah.
For sure. Like some people are smart, some people are just good looking.
Right.
It's just how it goes.
So
the idea that humans only use 10% of their brains is a myth.
Okay.
In fact, studies have shown that we use all parts of our brain, though different regions may be more active at different times. Brain scans like MRI and PET consistently show activity across the entire brain, including during rest and sleep. Of course, I just looked this up online. Who fucking knows? But it sounds right to me.
Is that Waymo telling you that?
If it was a conspiracy, I think it'd be like, we only use 1% of our brains.
So the question is, where did that come from? Where did the 10% of our brain think?
That's just one of those things someone said a long time ago.
Pre-internet gossip. So you think bullshit comes with the internet?
Yeah.
We were plagued with bullshit.
Right.
Forever. Like if you like eat Pop Rocks and drink Coke, you're gonna die. Like that's a fucking
your mouth
myth.
will explode. Then it became Mentos.
Well,
sure.
Is it a myth, or do we need to try it on the
I'm
show?
not trying it. I'm still not trying it.
Or how about the one, Rod Stewart, they had to pump 50 gallons of sperm out
50.
of this. Really?
And the gerbil thing, was that Richard Gere?
That's Richard Gere? Really?
There couldn't be more bullshit.
Oh, because Richard Gere got the most pussy ever? That's why you're saying that?
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let a play. I'm full of catchphrases, folks.
It's funny how quickly we all remember certain ones from a long time ago. That just pops
that
right
was
up.
all bullshit. And somehow, without an internet, that fucking...
Because you would just tell people, and people would go, no way, and it's stuck out in your brain, so you just tell somebody.
And completely impossible to fact check.
Well, I think we can do a little fact checking. Do gerbils not have teeth and claws? They're just going to go up somebody's asshole? I don't care how famous you are.
I didn't even know. I never looked into it. Was that even ever a thing? I don't even know.
Do you want me to look it up?
So people are into it.
It's going to taint your search history.
People are into it, yeah.
Okay, so Craig already knows.
I've heard that. But not Richard Gere. The
I'm
Richard
not
Gere
saying
part's
that.
bullshit.
I'm assuming all those things we just talked about were all lies.
I'm not looking that up outside of Richard Gere.
No.
I'm not looking up
You don't want
gerbils
to.
in the ass.
Yeah.
No, there's no finding it's a break even. Either it's not true, or I'm going to see photos and hear stories.
Here's something that you just didn't need to hear.
These are gerbils getting abducted, by the way. They get together like, I got abducted.
You'll
They
never
stuck me
believe
up.
this. They stuck me. Yeah.
What if they're related? What if the gerbils are the anal probe?
So the only thing I will say...
How deep does this go?
And by the way, I never followed up with this. A long time ago when I did Hollywood Anonymous with Huck, I think this same conversation came up, and there was this listener. It's a guy who actually works in the business. He sent me a message, and he said, I have some insight on that. And I never followed up with him on
Intel?
Yes.
Insight.
On some intel
Richard Gere.
on the Richard Gere thing.
Yeah, but
And I never followed up on it. He's a normal dude, by the way. But I never followed up on it because I was like, well, maybe. But you want me to follow up and find out?
I think you should
How
come back.
long ago was it?
It doesn't matter. I can still email him. I still see him on the...
Call your buddy that works for the military and call this guy that's a Hollywood insider.
Yeah.
And let's get to
I should
let's
have
get
got
some
that guy's
answers here.
information.
Yeah,
I
I'm
never
surprised
did.
you didn't.
You can't hook him up with the military guy from Utah?
Okay, because now there's these disclosure people are coming out of the woodworks.
Here's the problem with me. Then I get scared that I shouldn't know this stuff. And I put my family in jeopardy. I've watched too many 1970s and 1980s conspiracy theory movies.
Hangar 18, I know too much.
I get worried that I'm
Right.
going to get that call like, hello? You shouldn't have listened to that guy.
Hangar 18.
Now I'm like, okay, man, here we go.
But this is how they're letting disclosure happen. Little stories like that.
And with guys like me who are too afraid to do anything about it.
That way they can disclose the whole. They can just go like, oh yeah, but it's that guy.
Just blame it on Brian.
Yeah, it's this fucking guy Brian lives in Eagle Rock.
Yeah. So I'm just saying.
In like 1972, you would have got a knock on the door. Are you Brian Irwin?
They don't have time to track down everybody that talks about it now.
Yeah, now they're like, fuck it, cat's out of the bag.
I've been telling you, I don't know where I got wired into this. I'm in too deep shit before I've even gotten exposed to anything. Like somehow or another, I would have thought like I was the one guy he shared shit with that he shouldn't have. So the minute I leave that site, I'm a black, SUV is going to pull up. And I'm getting taken away. And so begins, whatever the hell happened to me.
How do you know this guy? He's from your hometown?
I was just working on set with him.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's how paranoid I've gotten from watching so many paranoia movies growing up.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
It has just tainted me for my whole entire life.
Yeah.
Right.
I am so paranoid about everything.
Okay,
And I hate it about myself.
Yeah, me too. And then you catch yourself and you go, hey, man, you're just being paranoid. And then 3 minutes later, oh, fuck, it's real, though. It's like Kurt Cobain said, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you.
I have a buddy who's like that. He was like, oh, no, I don't want to go to the weed stores. He goes, they want your ID and shit. I go, dude, everybody that wants to know whatever they want to know about you, they already fucking know it. It's already filed and logged. And I go, and the bottom line is, they don't give a fuck about you.
No, I guarantee the three of us are not on anyone's radar.
No.
We're not powerful enough.
Well, there's nothing. As I say, what
do we have on us?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
That would even?
Hey, that Coleman guy's looking up UFO stuff again. I think he's really figured it out.
I love the fact that you think that there's some office building where there's a guy in a cubicle that's turning to other people to talk about you. That's how crazy you'd have to be.
That's exactly how I think it is.
So this guy Matt gets horny about every 48 hours.
They just check in on their 15 people on their list. Well, let's see what
You owe me $10. Matt's over there again.
He just got a hot Venmo for $25 for playing a lingerie shop.
They're just yelling at their cubicle
This guy's
partner.
fine.
Hey, how's your Irwin guy? Yeah, he's into those trans chicks this time.
Oh, man, did you have to listen to their podcast again? Yeah, it's fucking excruciating. They're up to nothing. Let's go to lunch.
All right. World is safe.
That's going to do it for us at the Full Charge Power Hour. You be safe out there, and you check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/The Full Charge. If you want to hear an Eric Wendell movie review, we're putting out one a week, and the Bro Adjacent Tour continues. Details at thefullcharge.com. And thanks for listening. Don't rat on us, man.
Nice.
Later.